Dear students, good morning to everyone. We are into the lecture 8 of this course on applied electromagnetics. We are going to deal more about gradient that we learnt in the last class and take up a few problems to cement our understanding on the aspect of gradient. So what is this gradient? We have already seen gradient is a vector quantity. Moment and gradient is only taken on a scalar function. Gradient cannot be taken on a vector function. This I have emphasized in the last class. So gradient is denoted by what is known as del t. What is this gradient? It is a vector quantity, which means it has both magnitude and direction. Now, the question is that we are concerned, moment we bring the concept of being a vector quantity, is that what is the magnitude and what is the direction that the gradient represent. Okay, so that is one thing. And when does the gradient function vanish? All of these questions were answered in the previous class. However, 3 points that you must remember. One of them is about it's a vector quantity. The second one is that the magnitude of a gradient function is nothing but the slope or the rate of increase along a certain specific direction. What is the direction of the gradient? The direction of gradient will be along the direction of maximum increase of the function. Mathematically, we can actually see that from this equation. Here we talk about the gradient of a temperature function. Okay, and dt. And dt will be maximum when the del t, that is the gradient direction, when and the infinitesimal displacement vector direction are oriented along the same direction. That is, the angle between the infinitesimal displacement vector and the gradient are is 0. Okay, in other words, we say gradient and infinitesimal displacement vector are along the same direction. Okay, so that is the point. So it points in the direction of maximum increase of the function, because cos theta, maximum value of cos theta can be only 1. That is when the theta is 0, which means the angle between del t and dl must be 0, which means they point in the same direction. So if I walk along the direction of the gradient, I will see the steepest ascent of this function, steepest increase. The maximum increase of this function dt can happen only when I move along the direction of gradient of the temperature function. Now, the problem that we saw in the last class was about locating the top of the hill and also the height of the hill itself. Okay, so we actually used the concept, or we exploited the concept that gradient function vanishes when we are trying to take the gradient at the point which is top of the hill. The reason is it is very similar to that of the normal differential functions that we know, which we have been learning from high school, that the maxima and the minima of the function can be estimated by equating the slope of the function or setting the slope of the function to be 0 and then getting the values, corresponding values of x and y, and substituting, we get that function, right? Like that we have to do here. We will set the gradient to be 0 at the top of the hill, because it is, we have reached the top and there is no more gradient. The gradient vanishes. Similarly, at the bottommost point, that will be the valley. Again, gradient vanishes. Then there are places like the shoulder. Okay, at the shoulder, gradient does not exist. So these are the places where we can set the gradient to be 0 and we can pinpoint the location. Okay, so this is the problem that we did in the last class. Now we are having another problem which we are going to discuss now. Take down this problem. Determine the unit vector normal to the surface function x, y, z. It is varying as a function of spatial coordinate equal to x square plus y square minus z at the point P130. It is always good to visualize the function. We'll come to that. How this function looks like when we draw it. Okay, that will come to that. Before that, to answer this question, what is this unit vector normal to a plane? Okay, there are several familiar planes or surfaces that we know of. For example, let us take the Cartesian coordinate system and consider a plane z equal to 3. What is the normal vector to this plane? This we can easily see because this plane is parallel to xy. Based on the equation of a plane, we can immediately infer z equal to 3 represents a plane parallel to xy. If x equal to 3, then it is parallel to yz. If y equal to 4, then that plane is parallel to xc. So what it means is when z equal to 3, it means the intercept this plane makes on the z-axis is 3. Okay, whereas the plane does not is the intercept this plane makes on x and y-axis is infinity. Therefore, when you substitute in the equation of a plane as given as x by a plus y by b plus z by z equal to 1, where a, b, c are the intercepts on the x, y and z axis respectively, we will get anything by infinity is 0. Therefore, x by infinity is 0, y by infinity is 0, z by 3 equal to 1 or z equal to 3. That is the equation of the plane. Now, based on this, very clearly, it is evidently clearly seen from the image picture itself that the normal to this plane is the z-axis and the unit vector is obviously going to be az. Okay. Mathematically, we will extract. Okay. Let us, for a chance, let us try to understand this gradient, whether the gradient can give this answer. Okay. So let us take the gradient of this function z equal to 3. What do I get? I get, if the function f of z is z minus 3, I have rewritten that z equal to 3 as z minus 3 and I name it as it is only varying as a spatial coordinate along z-axis because it is these planes can vary along z-axis like this. So it will cut different intercepts. Therefore, I have dropped the other two spatial parameters, just return it as simplicity f of z. So del f equal to, when we differentiate this function, partial derivative, we get az only. In this case, the normal vector is not going to change and the normal vector itself is a unit vector. Okay, so not necessarily you will always get the normal vector to be unit vector. To estimate unit vector, we have to apply this formula. In this case, it turned out to be del f equal to ac hat, which means an hat, which is the unit normal vector. Unit vector normal to that plane is also going to be ac. Okay, so the conclusion, what is the conclusion? Conclusion is the gradient of the function itself can represent the normal vector to a surface. And unit vector can be gotten by this simple formula, vector by mod vector will give the unit vector, vector. In this case, the vector is gradient, therefore it gives the unit vector normal to this surface. Now, wait a minute, think for other well-known surfaces and see how it works. So, another example which I am going to take, let us superimpose a cylindrical material on XYZ coordinate, and this cylinder, we can see that cross section of the cylinder along the cylindrical, or if I look at the curved surface, okay, cylindrical curved surface, and if I only take that cross section, I am going to get a circle, and that circle I am going to represent like this. Now, if I want to know the gradient of this circular surface, what I do is I take the equation of the circle, and here I have considered the radius of the cylinder to be unity. Therefore, I can write the equation of the circle as x square plus y square equal to 1. Now, what is the gradient? The gradient is going to be given as 2x along ax hat plus 2y along ay hat equal to 0. Okay. Now, because this circle is of radius unity, that means this point is going to be 1, 0. If I go to this point, you can, and this is a 45-degree angle, so it becomes rho cos phi, rho sin phi, and I substitute 45 degree for phi, I am going to get 0.707 for x coordinate and 0.707 for y coordinate. Okay. Similarly, I can get this number also. Here I am going to, on the negative x-axis, though it is going to be minus 0.7 for the same 45 degree, minus 0.707 plus 0.707. And at this point, I am going to get 0 and 1. Similarly, at this point, I am going to get 0 and minus 1. Okay. So here I am going to get 1 and 0, minus 1 and 0. Okay. So this means I can locate the any point on this circle, and I can find the gradient at various points. When I find the gradient, I can substitute the corresponding coordinate. Let us take a couple of examples, okay, and see what does this gradient represent. Say along this direction, you see the radial function, the radius vector increases along this direction, which is ax direction. Are we getting it? Okay, this radial function increases along x direction. Let us see that. So I told you already the coordinate at this point is going to be 1, 0. So I have the del f for this function x square plus y square as 2x ax hat plus 2y ay hat. Now y coordinate is 0, therefore I can drop the term. Okay, I can drop the term. I can get only 2x ax hat here, and that 2x and substitute for x equal to 1. I am going to get 2a hat, 2ax hat. So 2ax hat I am going to get along this direction. What is the unit vector along this direction? It will be 2ax hat divided by mod 2ax hat. Okay, moment I do that, mod, that is the vector. So mod 2ax hat, I substitute, I will get what I will get? I will get ax direction. So which means at this point I am going to get ax direction. At this point I am going to get ax by root 2 along this direction and plus ay by root 2 along this direction. Similarly, I am going to get respectively. In this case, I am going to get minus ax. In this case, I am going to get minus ay at this point. At this point, I am going to get plus ay. So you can see that. So here x, and depending on the coordinate position, the direction of this gradient function is varying because of the variation in the coordinate. Now, the magnitude, so along this direction, if I look at the function, I am going to, it goes to increase like this. Along this direction, it increases differently along this direction. So that is what I'm saying. Now, when you do the same function in and the answers that we have got are along expected direction, because the unit vector normal to along x-axis will be ax. Similarly, unit vector along y direction is going to be ay. Here it is going to be minus ay. So like that we are getting. But what we are saying is, when I am using xy coordinate system, I have to be very careful in taking the coordinate position. But if I use the radial coordinate, the cylindrical coordinate system, rho phi z, you will be amazed to see that the problem is much simplified. At every point on this surface, this function increases rapidly only along radial direction, and that represents the gradient of this function. Okay, so there are advantages of using cylindrical coordinate system because we are dealing with a circular surface. We use a cylindrical. If I'm dealing with a not a circular surface but rather a cube or something, you will see that it is better to deal with a Cartesian coordinate system. Easier because Cartesian coordinate system we are very familiar. We see it in every day, every walk of life. Whereas cylindrical also we are seeing, but the point of the matter is we have to bring the geometry into play. Okay, so what is the take home message? Take home message here is you can satisfy yourself that the unit vectors points along the increasing value of radius. It points along this direction, it points along this radial direction, it points along the radial direction, it points along the radial direction, it points along the radial direction. So employing a cylindrical coordinate system makes the problem visualization much simpler. Okay, now come to the question. So having understood that we can get the unit vector normal to any surface by taking the gradient and then I employ the formula for any vector function. Let us say vector A, unit vector if I want to find, I have vector A divided by mod A. Similarly, I can get the gradient. Once I know that unit vector is nothing but the gradient, I can get the unit vector, vector normal vector is nothing but the gradient. Then I can get the unit vector normal to the surface as gradient divided by mod grade. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. So here the question is very simple. X square plus y square minus z is the surface, is the function, and we want to find the gradient at the point 130 to begin with. And once I do that, I will get this kind of stuff and take the unit vector by taking the gradient and by mod grade. And once I do that, I will get 2x hat plus 6y hat minus z hat root of 41. Okay, so this is how we are going to get it. Now, how do I visualize this surface? To visualize this surface, I am going to draw this. If I draw it, what I want you to watch my hand. This is a three-dimensional surface. So you will have a kind of, you have to take cross section to imagine this. Okay, so you can substitute, for example, z equal to 0. When z equal to 0, and you will see that that point will be corresponding to this, and you can see that x and y also will be 0 when I take the gradient. So I can draw these functions like this and get the gradient and then substitute this point to get the corresponding unit vector and visualize. So these surfaces are like this, and in xy plane it tends to be the cross section is circled, but if I go along xz plane and yz plane, I am going to get a parabola. Okay, so parabola is like this. So in 3 dimension it rotates like this. Okay, so that is why I say that you got to be precise where you want to calculate the gradient. You have to bring the direction also into play. You can see that the direction is changing as I change the coordinate, because for example I have got this unit vector. If I change this point from 130 to say 451, then I will have to substitute for wherever x is there and y is there and z is there. I have to substitute respectively for x 4, y 5 and z 1 for the point. So depending on the where the location is, the unit vector normal at that point is going to be changing. So be careful to note this point. Now let us go to another problem. This problem is very similar to just the one which we saw. Okay, the subtle message I will bring it up. The question is, the temperature in an auditorium is given by T equal to x square plus y square minus z. So the function remains the same. A mosquito located at 112 in an auditorium desires to fly in such a direction that it will get warm as soon as possible. In what direction it must fly? Obviously, let us say, okay, I am on the road and all of a sudden buying, I have gone to a shop and I am on the road. After buying things, I am coming back. All of a sudden, I find heavy downpour. Okay, so I want to take a place safe to ensure that I am not going to get drenched. So I try to look around myself and the direction of my displacement and the direction of my movement. If you see, the displacement will be the shortest distance that I want to move around a shade. Okay, so that will be the shortest distance, and it is always going to be normal. So that problem is very similar here. The mosquito is in a cold position when it is located at 112. It decides to fly in a direction where it wants to get. So it will look around. Immediately you know that, oh, that point it senses, and immediately it will try to go along the direction. So don't take in literal sense whether mosquito has got brain and all these things. Do not think along the direction. Rather take it in spirit of the problem that mosquito will try to fly to a direction, okay, where it will get as soon as possible. In what direction it must fly? It will be given by the gradient function. So that is what we are going to, and then you have to take the direction. Whenever we are talking about, we want to always bring the concept of unit vector normal to that direction of the movement, which is going to be the perpendicular distance, which will remain the shortest distance. Therefore, if you understand that concept, then the rest of the steps are very simple and straightforward. And I think we have done enough of the vector concept to get the answer what is written over here. Straightforward. Now, the third problem is what we are going to talk about is actually I have been given a function w equal to x square y square plus xyz. This is a scalar function. Questions asked is calculate the gradient of this function, given function, and the directional derivative. And the directional derivative is defined as dw by dl. So it's already given to you that it is a differential of the function with respect to infinitesimal displacement. Okay, I will rather call it as infinitesimal distance because I don't want you to think this displacement dl. I rather want you to think as distance. It's infinitesimal distance. Okay, I am trying to be very careful and precise. In the direction 3ax hat plus 4ay hat plus 12az at 210. So this is the question. So there is a direction and at a particular point also is given. So I have to find this. How do I proceed? First thing is we can compute directly del w. What is del w? Del w gives the gradient and the answer has to be in a vector function, and I have to estimate the vector function at the point, specified point 2, -10, and here is how it is done. And we know the dw is given as this, the formula that we have come across. When we defined the gradient of a scalar function, we talked about how this formula emerged. So those of you who are still uncomfortable with this formula, they can refer lecture number 6. Okay, you will get there, or lecture number 7, the previous lecture. Once you get there, dw equal to del w and mod dl. So both are mod del w and mod dl, which means both are talking about magnitudes, and cosine of the angle theta between them. So all of these terms are scalar. There is no vector because moment mod comes, it's a number, dl mod number, cos theta is a number. So the change in the function with respect to the moment dl is going to be given by this. It's related like this. Now, how am I? So del w, finding del w is super simple. I am sure that you have been using this gradient function since the last semester, and all I want you to think about like this. It is like partial derivative with respect to x, y, z coordinate, keeping the. So when I am taking partial derivative of this function with x, I have to keep y and z constant, resulting in 2x y square plus yz ax hat. Okay, I have not written hat, it is understood from the notation we have been using in the class. And then the next partial derivative is going to be x square y square xyz is there, we are going to use the partial derivative with respect to y. So moment I use the partial derivative with respect to y, I am going to get x square and z constant. I will get 2x square y plus xz ay hat. Then the final one is the partial derivative with respect to z coordinate. I will get this function is that does not have any z dependence. So this is going to, when I take with respect to z, this thing I am going to get 0. Whereas this one is going to be, the other one is going to be xyz is going to be, we are going to get xy only, dou c by dou c is 1, so along AC direction. So this is straightforward, and the point is given 2 minus 1 0. So you substitute that point and see that you will get this value. What is the del W at that point? Now I want to get along the direction, which means I have to project this vector 4ax hat minus 8ay minus 2az using the scalar product. And here is how it is done. So this is the second part of the question. Now we can see that the directional derivative is defined as dw by dl. So I have used the concept of scalar product here between the gradient function and the another vector, namely the infinitesimal displacement vector, the angle theta between them. So because it's a scalar product, you are going to get cos theta. Now mod, so dw by dl equal to mod del w, which means gradient, mod gradient, cosine of the angle theta between them, and this is nothing but the projection of this on the dl this thing vector, and we are going to get del w dot al. So I can find the unit vector as it is. This we have gone through this grind in the second class of this course. That is when we talk, our third class of the course, when we talked about the projection components. Now al hat is given by, which is the unit vector along the direction, is given by L vector divided by mod L vector, and we can get given vector is 3ax 4ay 12az. So I have written in this format within bracket, okay, 3 4 12, which means it is 3ax plus 4ay hat plus 12az divided by the mod of this vector, which will be square root of 3 square plus 4 square plus 12 square, which is going to be root of 169, and root of 169 along the increasing direction is going to be plus 13. So 13 I put it, and then I will get dw by dl equal to minus 44 by 13, because we used the concept of, what is the concept we used? We got this concept of scalar product, which means the dw dl directional derivative has to be a number only, not a vector. Okay, thank you so much for this class, and we'll see you in the next class. We'll discuss about when I operate with the del operator. I told you del mimics vector in every way. It is an operator function. So only when it is called upon to act on a function, it gives the full meaning. Del by itself does not have any meaning. This I have repeated in the previous class. So del dot v, where v is a vector function. Similarly, del cross v, similar to scalar and vector product between two vectors. Here we have with del as the one of the vectors, it mimics. Okay, remember that del dot v is a dot product. Okay, so we should get a number. Del cross v should be a vector product. We should get a vector. What does that resultant scalar quantity and what does that resultant vector quantity gotten from the taking the divergence of the, or the scalar product of the del dot v and del cross v will be seen in the next class. In nutshell, del dot v will represent divergence, del cross v will represent curl of the vector function, which means how much the vector function swirls around a point. Okay, this we will see both mathematically and physical concept. Okay, remember the physical concept because it is going to carry in your mind forever. Thank you.